My parents punished me for my twin brother's mistakes by forcing me to take his place. I have a twin brother named Lucas. When we were 7 years old, my parents told us we were moving to a new town 3 hours away. They said in our new town there would be a new rule. Lucas would be the only son who officially existed, and I would stay home and never be seen by anyone outside our house. They said I had severe behavioral problems and couldn't be trusted around other people, but I was a completely normal kid who just wanted to play outside and go to school like Lucas did. But my parents kept me locked in our new house anyway, while Lucas went to his new school every day, made new friends, and lived what looked like a normal life. Then when Lucas was 10 years old, he got detention at school for talking back to his teacher. That night, my parents came into my room and told me I was going to school tomorrow as Lucas. They said this was his punishment for misbehaving, and I would have to live his life while he stayed locked in his bedroom. I didn't understand what was happening, but I was terrified of my parents and excited to finally leave the house, so I did exactly what they told me to do. The next morning, I got dressed in Lucas's clothes and went to his school. I sat in his classes and talked to his friends and pretended to be him. Lucas coached me through his bedroom window at night, telling me what to say to people and how to act so nobody would notice anything was different. After a week of this, they finally switched us back, and I went back to being invisible. The switching kept happening over and over again for years. Every single time Lucas messed up even a little bit, I had to take his place as punishment. If he got a bad grade, I became Lucas for 3 days. If he forgot to do a chore, I became Lucas for a week. If he talked back to our parents, I became Lucas for 2 weeks. I started memorizing every single detail about his life just so I could survive these switches without getting caught. I knew all his teachers' names, all his friends' birthdays, his class schedule, his favorite foods, everything. By the time we were 12 years old, I'd been Lucas almost as much as I'd been myself, and I knew his life better than I knew my own. Then one day I realized why my parents were really making us switch like this. It wasn't actually about punishing Lucas at all. My dad had hit Lucas with a belt and left massive bruises all over his skin. The very next day, I was the one who went to school wearing Lucas's shirt, and if anyone saw the bruises, they thought they belonged to me, not him. A few weeks later, my mom burned me with a cigarette on my arm as punishment for dropping a plate. The following week, Lucas was the one showing up to gym class with the burn mark, and his teacher asked him what happened. They were rotating which one of us was visible to the outside world so that nobody would ever see the full pattern of injuries. They were using the switching to cover up the fact that they were abusing both of us, and because I didn't officially exist on any documents, nobody was keeping track of what was happening to me. When I was 13, I fell down the stairs at our house and hit my head on the corner of a table. I was bleeding really badly, and I couldn't stand up without feeling dizzy. My parents found me on the floor and completely panicked because I needed to go to the hospital immediately, but I didn't officially exist, so they couldn't take me as Owen. They cleaned up the blood as best as they could, put me in Lucas's clothes, and drove me to the emergency room. They told the doctors that Lucas had fallen down the stairs at home. A doctor examined me and started asking questions about the fall, but she seemed confused about something. Then she pulled up Lucas's medical records on her computer and started scrolling through his history. She looked really confused and said, "According to these records, you broke your left arm 2 years ago, but that arm looks completely fine. Your right arm is the one that healed wrong." My parents tried to come up with an explanation, but they were getting more and more flustered. The doctor kept finding more and more inconsistencies in the records. There were old injuries documented on the left side of Lucas's body, but the scars were actually on my right side. She told my parents they needed to leave the room, and then she sat down next to my hospital bed and said very quietly, "You're not Lucas, are you?" I completely broke down crying and told her everything. She immediately called the police. When the officers arrived at the hospital, my parents tried to lie their way out of it, but the doctor showed them Lucas's medical file and explained that nothing matched up. The police went to our house and found Lucas there, and when they saw that he was identical to me, they finally understood what had been happening for all those years. My parents were arrested that same night. Lucas and I were placed in foster care together with a family who treats us both like real people.